Okay, so in the last class we um talked about functions, and then we looked at, well, playing around with functions and understanding a few things just to brush our memories. And I think we learned a couple of things. So then we also went into installing with Vite, installing your React app with Vite. Not because, because, Vite is popular and create React app, well, to an extent, is a bit obsolete and slow. That is, it's kind of getting deprecated. So we use Vite, and we saw that it was relatively easy to set it up. Though using Vite has its own perks, its own challenges rather. Uh, in the sense that, like, the prop types that, well, Emmanuel talked about, uh, Vite kind of enforces ESLint and a couple of things. With Create React app, you can be free to jump around and play around. Like, you don't have to do prop types and all those things. And we'll get to see this stuff. We'll get to see them. We'll get to understand how they work, and then we'll play around with them. Okay, so for today, we're going to play around with, yeah, where's that? We're going to create a book. A book. We're just going to create something of this sort, not exactly like this, though. Um, Something of this sort, not exactly this. But we'll just play around with it and see how we can create this. And then we're also going to touch like a few things. We'll touch like a few things about JSX. So what you can do, what are the rules that work with JSX? So from last week, one thing that we found out or discovered is that for you to use React in your main.jsx, you have this app here. And this app is being imported from this app. So you have like one, will I say one component where all of these things, where everything passes through. So one component, you pass every other component inside it, get your page. And when I say get your page, now this app here, you see how it is rendered. It usually starts with a capital letter and all of that. So I'm coming to that. I'll still explain it. So this app is rendered on an element. So your React DOM has an element root on which the app is rendered on. And if you check that idea of roots, this is it. So this index of HTML. So a couple of people were asking me, oh, uh, should I build the page inside here? No, I know we are transitioning from HTML, CSS, and we are coming inside here. Please, you're not doing that here. You're not using your index.html. You're not playing around with it. This is just here to serve your page for you. So it's just going to inject whatever you put inside the app inside here. So we're going to just play around. We are we are going to play around with this. So generally, yes, we have this file as app.jsx, but I can change this function name here. So it's actually a function. I can decide to just collect all of this. And I will just do, for us that I installed the ES7, this extension, ES7 extension, let me just pull that out. Okay. Yeah, this ES7 plus React Redux and all of that. So you have access to, if you just want to create a boilerplate for yourself, let me adjust this a bit. You can just do RAFCE. So the second one, React arrow function, exports this, and then you press enter. So now we've created this app as it is. Now there's no rule. So one, this is underlining because we've actually moved from, I think we're on React. Let me just confirm that. This is React 18. So on React 18, you don't really need this React keyword. Formerly, you needed all of this. But at this point in time, you don't need that. You can just create your app like that, and you're good to go. Can you guys still hear me? Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you so much. So there's no rule that says, I can just use app like this. So I can just say, okay, I actually have a funny name, but I don't want to use that funny name here. Let me just say greeting. If I do that, I also need to replace the export defaults here. And in my main.jsx, so here, I'll need to import. So, okay, I'll need to import what? Greetings. Are you not coming out by yourself? Okay. Okay, so greetings from app. Then I need to replace this app here with this. So let's run this guy. npm run dev. I think somebody just did npm run. All right, so I have this as quickly as possible. If you're using create React app, hmm, sorry for you. To take a while before it just comes up. So, but this is faster. You already see that the app is showing here. So one thing I want us to know is that, yeah, it's not cast on stone that you should, that this must be app or something. It can be any other thing. It can be any other thing, but just for keeping it professional, yeah, you just leave it as app and use it like that. So I'm just, what do I do? Okay. So I'm just going to go back. I'm going to go back to greetings. So I'm going to talk about like we said that there are some rules that JSX has. So one of them is that it has to return a single element. So returning a single element is that, yeah, you have to return something. I can't just have nothing inside here and expect things to go well. No, the app will just crash. Let me inspect and see. Uh, so nothing is happening there because you're not returning anything. Nothing will be displayed. So you always have to return something. It could be a H, it could be anything. Just return an element. That's what is expected. So it could be a div, it could be anything. You can use like you can use a div, a section, an article. So when I mean that, what I mean is you can use an article here. You're still returning something. You can use a div. You can use a section. It all still works. You can use a fragment. So I talked about fragments. Yeah, fragments are more like so, so when you just open a bracket like this. So this is a fragment. It's more like kind of a container, more like a div or something. Or you can put elements inside here. I can just do H1. I'll just say hello guys. All right. I said hello guys. Okay, well, so hello guys. And I'm able to just, yeah. So that comes up. Now, so you can use, so let me just put it as, where do I do that? So some JSX rules. Yes. X. Okay. If I can spell JSX. Okay. Rules. So return one element. Okay. So that's one. Two, you can use a div. You can use section and so on. You can use a fragment. Another thing is, yeah, so let's say you want to name, you want this name to be different. So let's see, you can do something of this sort. Cons book, and you're basically returning a function. Okay, so let me just say book list. So, so when you want to, well, when you want to create, you can use this type of naming convention uh, for your app, for your functions. Then another thing is that when you're working with this, I don't know, those of us that noticed, you can't use a class here. Instead, you use a class name. So use a class name instead of class. And off with spelling today. So use class name instead of class. So it's not like in HTML. Okay, and then you need to close every element. So you need to close every element. And when I say that, what I mean is, let's say for instance, you want to add an image here, img. Okay, wow, wonderful. So I can't practically. So this guy is now screaming because I have an img and I should have an src equals this, and it's still screaming because I haven't closed this. So you need to close every element here. And it was also in React that I knew that you can have a div, a single div, and you close it like that and still use this div to do something. It's possible in React. Interesting. So you need to close every element. As you create, you close them. Then, so from there, we will be moving on to how do we deal with components? We've been talking about components. Yeah, yeah. We'll come to that. So we've been talking about components. So how do we work with components with React? How does that happen for us? So let's see. Let's just create out this page. I have my hello guys here. I'm going to copy this image from here. I just get an image where Amazon books. And I will just get this copy image address, and I'll just put it inside here. All right. So I have this. Let me just comment this for now so that I don't have too much screaming inside here. And I go to this. So I have my book showing up. Interesting. And very funny. I think I would like to remove all the styling. Yep. I'll just like it there. Where else? Up the CSS. Okay, I commented that one out. Yeah, so I have this. Interesting. So I want to just create a book card. So what I will do is, let me just close all this plenty stuff here. Okay. So inside here, I'm going to remove this hello guys, because I don't need it. So let's try and mock this up. I didn't save, so I don't expect it to change. So I have this, and then I have a name. Okay. That was not what I was expecting. Okay, let me just copy this. So I'll just do a paragraph just below it. And let me do another paragraph. Or let me just do a H4 here. And the paragraph. Okay, so the paragraph, let's get something. Can I get information about this book? Okay, so this is the author. So let me just put this, remove this div. Eventually we'll talk about that. So I have the image, I have this. Let me just put a description. Lorem. Okay. So the book name, this, I'll just give it some classes. So class name, description, and I'll just call this one class name, title. Please take note of where I am writing this. All right. So I want to get like, so I'm exporting this greeting. I was explaining that this greeting is coming from this app.jsx. So start with a dot, do a slash, then where is it? It's inside the app. So select this app. So that's how, so far as you're importing this greeting from that app file, and then you're putting it, it should be just fine. All right. So, so I have this and I've not saved. So let me just save. And yeah, so we have this. Interesting. My title is so long, and I mean, my description is so long. My author, this thing is just there. So, so let's say I want to add some styling to this guy. So I think I need to wrap all of this inside. So let me just do this. We'll do a div. So I can just do dot hook container. Okay. So I can just do a dot and just do that. And then inside it, I just have another div. I'll just call it book. And I paste this inside there. So, so this is, yeah, I still get this. It's still the same outputs, just that I styled it a bit different. So if I want to add some more styling to this, I can just come. This was already linked for me, so I'm just going to clear everything here. So I have, for my app.jsx, I have this app.css, and I can just say, so the book, I'll just call book. And for the book, I'll just say have a width I still remember CSS. So a width of, let's say we want to do for a row, 25. So I'll just do 24%. Okay. So, am I linked? I'm not linked. So I need to link. So this is my app.css. And then here, you now see that there is nothing. This is not linked to this. So definitely my styles won't show up. So how do I link it? I will just say import, and then I opened it, dot slash. I mean, dot slash app CSS. Right. Nope, I'm right. Doesn't look like I'm right. Oh, I'm right. Okay. Yeah, so it felt strange for a bit. So you just import the CSS file. So dot slash. We always start with a dot slash. You get the file name. So app.css. So now this is how you call your CSS into the file that you want to use. Okay. So because I have this and I'm targeting book, so I already see that my book is, well, pretty arranged. Then I think I still want to do more styling. So I'll just go above. I'll just say book container. And I don't want to touch the edges. So I'm just going to say have a width of 90%. And I'll just do a margin. I know you guys know more CSS than this. I'm working at CSS. Okay. It didn't work. Okay, because of my spelling. Container. Hmm. Books container, that's the name. I think. Yeah, books container. Okay. So I have this. I have this. I could decide to just do a border for it and so on and so forth. Yeah, so I have this. Now, let's say, for instance, yeah, using your normal, what do they call it? Your HTML and CSS. If I want multiple books, now I have to like ah, do the whole repeat and repeat the whole stuff. And then this is it. So let me just do a flex for it. So display flex uh app 10 pixels. All right, so I have this. I have this. So fine, fine. Let me just do margin top. Okay. So this is all good. This is all good. I have my book and this. So, but then I'm repeating myself. So now what happens? What happens if I want to do the same thing? Like if I want all of them to have like the same, if I change something in one place, like I want it to also be the same change in another place. So I change this one. I also change this one. So see the work, see plenty work that I have to do now. And then I come back. Oh, okay, okay. So I now pushed this code now and I'm now seeing that oh I made a change here, I made a change here, but I forgot to change this one. So React developers or developers just thought it was that okay, instead of using this method where ah, you now have to go through multiple places to change. Hope you guys can still hear me. You go to multiple places. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So You go to multiple places and then you're changing things here and there, you're changing things here and there. So why not just make a change in one place? Make a change in one place and you're fine. Okay, so I'm going to demonstrate that. I'm going to demonstrate how that works. And I'm going to show it to us. So first things first, I want to change this into a reasonable name. So I'll just say book lists. And so if I change up here, you need to change where you're exporting it. And yeah, at the moment our app is still showing. Funny enough. Hmm. That's a very strange behavior. Okay, that is really strange. Where is this pointing to? Pointing to this. Why? All right, so I'm learning something new here. So this should actually be book lists. And I'm just going to put that. All right. So our app still works fine. Still works fine. So eventually I want to remove, yeah, I want to remove two of this. Remove the first two. This other one is the complete stuff. Okay. So I'm going to create a component inside here. I'm going to create a component inside here. And I'm just going to say const book and basically using arrow function. Hmm, well, this can work. Let me try something. Okay, so I'm just going to put this book here. I'm going to try and use it inside this component now. I just call book like that and I close it. So let's see. So this is it showing here. So this is more like, this is, your component is almost like a single page. It's almost like your page. So it's almost like this app, this function that you have inside here is just a, well, just call it, it's like a function on its own that is returning something too. The same way that your, what's this, your app.jsx is doing, but just that it's a kind of, it's a small kind of code. And then you see that when I saved, automatically it returned it to this because I'm just returning a single thing here. So I want to move this. So either you do it this way that I did it. Well, let me show you. I think it's better to show. So I will cut this out because that's the essence of this. Okay. So if I put this here, you see that this guy still shows up properly. So I created a component called book and I called that component inside here. So this is how you call a component. It's more like you're writing a HTML element, but you need to call it like this. So, and then if I click on it, I'm able to go to where that function is defined. So if I wanted multiple of this, I can just do this. Wow, I am supposed to do a flex wrap for it to go to the ends of the earth. Flex wrap. Okay. Yep. Okay, so this is my book, and you saw how I use the component. So I kept repeating and repeating the same component. Now, if I change a single thing here, and I say this is by favor, I save this. You notice that at once we have the change on all the components here, everything here, everything shows up how it's supposed to be. So interesting thing about it. So components is it helps you so that when you make a change somewhere, automatically the change affects everywhere that you're calling that particular code. So let's say, for instance, I want to separate each of them into small bits. Let me just say const, what do they call it? Let's say description. Okay. So this is one way of returning your components. That's if you're doing it inside one file. Normally, this is not the way that we are going to be doing it, but I'm just showing you for first time's sake, just so that you understand that you can do this type of thing inside one single file and you'll still be fine. So if I have something like this, I now have to do a return, and this return can just be like this, or since it's that I'm using this circular kind of bracket, and I'm going to just put this paragraph. Is the description that I need, so I'm just putting this paragraph inside here. I save, and I need to call this description here. So you need to know where you're getting it from. So description, and I close my description. I save. Let's check. You have my code. You have it here. So you need to know where you're calling that. If I remove this and I just say, come back, you see, I don't have a description here. So put it back, right? So I have my description. Now that description, if I make a change everywhere, becomes empty. So it affects everything. So that's the beauty of components. That's the beauty of componentizing things. So, all right. So just a moment. So that's the beauty of componentizing things. So we'll move on from there. I don't know if anybody is kind of confused about what we've done so far.
Yes, I already raised my hand. Good morning. Well done, sir.
Okay, yes.
Can you
Good
hear
man. Yeah, I can hear you.
the CSS? The CSS, is it affecting each of the components or the app or JSX? Which one is it affecting among them? The app or the
Okay.
JSX?
Okay. So this CSS affects this file. So whichever component is here. So first it is, yeah, so first it has a class name that is on this app.css. It's is actually going to work. Anything on this page that the CSS is here is going to work. Get?
Okay.
Uh, Okay. Can you guys hear me? I know I struggle to hear me a bit. Okay. Sorry, can you guys still hear me? Okay. Yusuf, yeah, you
We can
have
hear you. Yeah,
a-
yeah. I have a question. When, well, the thing is kind of breaking. Hello.
yeah, so please go on with your question. Am I
Okay.
breaking? Can you guys?
Yeah. So when I installed React on that
Okay,
very
it's
day, I
from
noticed
him.
that
Okay.
I
All right.
noticed that it comes with
Yeah, I
index.css.
can
Yeah,
hear you.
I noticed React comes with index.css and app.css. So I was wondering, like, why do we need the two of them? I was thinking, maybe they have different, style sheets, or probably one is enough. Because sometimes the thing seems a bit confusing. Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Yeah, I
I can
said
hear you.
when I installed React, I noticed that
Okay.
it came with app.css and index.css. So I was
Okay.
wondering why we have two CSS files. Probably they have different use or something like that. That was started to ask.
Okay. Okay. So I think in the last class I talked about that. Um, Now imagine that everybody on this call is meant to work on a project. And then we say let's use a single CSS file. It's going to get chaotic. There's no joy in chaos in this one. It's going to get chaotic. So it's more like for each file, well, I think the way that it was worked out for each file. So if you're creating a JSX file, you're supposed to like have a a CSS equivalent file. So that CSS is supposed to be imported inside that JSX to make it work. To make it work. The index.css that you saw was so that you kind of have a global kind of styling. If you check very well, it was so that you have a global styling. Now, the app.css is tied to the app.jsx. So I know I've noticed some rare cases where even you could still have conflicting styles from another file. So most times, if you're working like on a group project, so let's say you're working on about, you it's best you kind of have like maybe a global class that is tied to your own personal file. So more like if you're working on about, so you have like dot about and then your own specific, your own class names, so that you don't have like clashes. So why we have those different CSS files is so that, yeah, you just know that this CSS is for this, and it doesn't get chaotic. Imagine the project is very large. You have to struggle with finding things, and it gets so crowdy. So that's why we have those separations. So you kind of componentize it into smaller chunks. Even your component at some point, even your components, you might also want to do like specific CSS files for those components, depending on how it goes. So it's something to, well, think about. Even though at some point, well, yeah, okay. So even though at some point, most people kind of switch out from
Yeah,
using.
yeah, we
Can
can
you
hear
guys
you.
hear me? Okay, so most people switch out from using normal CSS like this. You see people using Tailwind. So Tailwind is once you set it up, you can just call your classes from anywhere. Same thing with Bootstrap and so on. So, but when you're using vanilla like this, yeah, it's best to separate them like that, have different
Yeah, I
CSS.
get it. It's clear now.
All right. All right. So any other questions so far? Yeah, Favor, your question.
Okay, sir. So, um, firstly, I have two questions, and the first one is you made mention about components that
Yes.
if you change something, it changes in all. Yes. So now my question is now, if for example, please can you go
Yes.
back to your DOM, your Chrome? For example, I mean, please can you go back to your Chrome?
Okay.
Yes. If if you want to change a particular word on, please go back to your, yes, thank you. Now you want for example, you want this first name to be the Rabbit Hodge, a novel, and you want this particular one to be a different name from this one.
Mhm.
Like you don't want the changes you made on the first Facebook affect
Yeah.
the second one and the third one as well. How would you do that? That is the first question. Now the second question is, how do you call your components to style on your CSS, on your app.css?
How do you decide? I didn't get the second question.
How do you call out your components to style it on CSS? Like, for example, that description you made, that component, you want to call it on your CSS to style.
All right.
Can I hear anything again? No, it's only me.
I cannot see anything too, please.
I don't know if Mr. Ogochukwu can hear me. Let me just, part of the question I asked the other time is what this guy just asked now about that CSS. Now our app.css, is it directly affecting the app component, or is it affecting the book component, or is it affecting the books and all those small components? Which one is our
All right.
app.css directly having effect?
All right. Let me try and address. Sorry, my name is Barry. Let me try and attempt to answer your questions. Can you all hear me?
Yes, go on.
Okay. I'll start with Favor's question. Now, for Favor, now we actually have I don't know, we can't even see the slide, so I can't really. Okay, now we actually have those components in app.jsx, and then we have the CSS as app.css, right?
Yes,
Are you there?
yes.
So whatever changed it, and we actually imported app.css into our app.jsx, right? So whatever changes we're making in our CSS only affects that app.jsx. So if you want to actually implement
Yes.
a particular CSS on a component, you will have to pull out that component from that app.jsx and then give it its own CSS. Let's say, for instance, you want to work on let's say book, which is a component. You have to create it outside the app.jsx and you create a folder for it and then give it its own CSS, then import it in that app.jsx. I don't even understand what I'm saying. I can say it again. Let me try it again. Do you understand what I'm saying?
You can try it again.
Okay. We actually have
Okay, you can hold on. Can you hear me? Malox. Was it Malox speaking or Fiwe?
Fiwe.
Okay, Fiwe, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, let me explain a little. Let me put some word to what you said. Thank you so much. You really hit the nail on the head. So apparently, when it comes to the whole CSS concept, the index.css file is not actually so different from the app.css, right? They all do the same thing. The only difference is that the index.css is like the global stuff that affects the index.html directly, right? So for the app.js, you can actually style any components. Like all you need to do is add a class name to your tag, and you can style it in the app.css, right? That works for any component, whether it's the child component, the parent component, no matter what, it works. The difference, what you rather do when you want to specify, like maybe you have a particular component like the card component and you want to style just that card component, you want it to own its own style sheet, right? Then you can now create a style sheet for that component. So let's assume it's a card component and you want to have just a style for that card component. You create a card.css file, right? For that card component. That way now, any style you do there, you import it into that card component and you style just that card. That's any style in there with any class in that card will work for that card alone. But on the app.css, right, any particular component you want to work on, you can just put in your class name and style it in the app.css and it works. Because it's also actually global, but not like the index.css. Index.css works directly with the how they call it, with the index.html. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. It does.
Okay. All right. You have another question?
All right.
Yes, David, I should just assume that my app.css is directly affecting the app components, not
Yes,
the.
exactly. Yes. So because it's affecting the app component, all the components are passing through the app component, right? Get to enjoy that benefit of being styled inside the app.css. Do you understand?
All right.
Okay.
Yeah.
August, you can take over.
Yeah. Oh, thank you for. I think that was really interesting. That's you guys actually touched the basic thing. Yeah. So, can you guys hear me properly now?
Yes, we can. Yes, bro.
All right. So, Malox, yeah, your question.
Okay, so I'm just like the last task we were given. I don't know. I just needed to confirm
Okay.
because I did my styling from the index. It's just now that I'm finding out that it should actually be done from the app because my style were written in the index.css. So I just want to know that's not acceptable, right? That's not how it's done. So I just don't continue writing my styles inside the index file. So I just need to confirm because that's where I wrote mine and it worked. So I just want to be sure if I'm writing the styles, I should just do it in the app.css.
Well, yeah. So, yeah, it's actually not best practice, like David said. So it's best to, yeah, for each file that you work, each JSX, you kind of have your own CSS file, and then you work with that. You put your styling in that CSS. Or some people say they go as far as even creating like folders for each of their. So you have like, let's say you're working on a large project now, you have like, well, we're supposed to have like a components folder. We're also supposed to have like a pages folder and so on and so forth. Yeah, David, you want to throw more light on that?
Okay, yeah, I wanted to just say something to this one you just said. Well, writing your style, when it comes to styling, it can get very cumbersome, especially when the project is big. there are some code bases where you have several hundreds of files, right? To start, you want to organize that kind of code base, have every component own their style sheet, right? So you need to start from now to understand the whole concept of trying to organize your code base. It will really help. So it's best for you to just create, if you have a new component, create a style sheet for that component. If possible, pack them up in a separate folder, and that's very okay. That's like best practice. Thank you, Ogo.
Okay, yeah. So thanks for that, actually. So best each file, each CSS. For a JSX, have your own CSS. Most often than not, that's the best practice. Yeah. Okay. Gochuku, your own question.
Sorry, is there a question? It's just a reminder to the question he asked in regards to if you want to change something that's like is in a component, let's say like the paragraph, like the author, but you
Okay.
already rendered a basic component and maybe you want to change that element. I know it's passing off props, but I don't know if he asked the question. I'm just reminding you.
Okay. I think I heard that before. I dropped off. Okay, yes. So when you have to deal with things like that, you use props. So props are more like, yeah, they are components. They are properties that you kind of pass in. So you move data around, like I said earlier, with props. You move data from one point to the other. So we're going to talk about that here. Let me just be certain that I have touched what I need to touch here. So, okay, so it's possible to do all of this. It's possible to do all these things, but yeah, I can break it down and break it down, but you need to know where you're creating your components and where to use. I can't carry this component as this description is like this. I can't say I'm coming to do it inside this book. It won't make sense. It won't make sense. So let's see. Okay, sorry, I need to run this. Okay. That's yeah. So it won't make sense. See where this thing is. It doesn't make sense. So you need to know where you're creating your components and how you're injecting your components. Put it in a place that makes sense. So I'm going to just return this back to this. And I'm going to remove this description. There's no need for it. Time will come. Okay, so we have this. Well, we keep repeating and repeating, and this is still repetition again. Anyways, we'll come and talk about that soon. Yeah, so there was something that made mention of. So props, let's see. So when you're using props, like we said, is, yeah, you're passing items inside it, you're passing data inside it. So I'm just going to, it's more like, well, with functions, you have params. So it's more like a param. So let me just call this props. Yeah. I'm returning this like this. So I will just change this and I will just do a return here because I want to console log. Okay. Okay. Let me just reset. Okay, so I have that CLG and I'll just console log my props here. So when I do that, I'll just open this. Let's see. Wow, I have objects that nothing is inside. Object. All right, so it's just empty. It's just there like that. So props are like that. But for you to test this out. So I'm just going to do something like, so let's say auto, and then I'll just say, let's say, let me see. Just do this like this. Confirm this. Oh, I have plenty of, let me comment. Okay, let me just go to the top one to be certain. Okay. Person. So for my component, for the very first one, I think maybe I should have even, do I need this other put? I'm passing favor as an author. So when I console logged here, when I console log the props, you see that we are getting an object. I need to refresh this, so always get. So author is favor, so it's a string. So it's more like if I want this to work here now, if I want to use this inside here instead of this, I just need to do something of this sort. And I'm going to show a better way of doing it. Props dot auto. And I need to do a prop validation. Okay. So eventually I'll come back to that. So you see here now we have favor on this one, but we don't have anything. We don't have anything here. We don't have anything here. That's because we are passing props, and props is like it's an it's right. So props is an object which you pass inside here. So that's why we are doing props.auto and so on and so forth. So you're passing it inside here. So what this does is it checks this component. What are you sending? So here for this very first one, I am sending an auto. And the name of that auto is favor. So it's going to check all these components now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Forget that it's duplicating some of them, like this install hook or JS. I don't even know why it's coming up. But then, so the very first one. So we are saying auto here, favor. So it finds so it picks the first component. Okay, I am given an auto, and it's saying that at this point where we have favor Okon, before Okon, I should put that author's name. So that's why I'm getting it like this. I'm getting props.auto. Props.auto. So should in case I want to do another, and then notice something. If you want to pass in, if you want to write, what do they call this thing? So I'm trying to write, let's say JavaScript inside here. I'm trying to pass a parameter inside here. And it's not like when you're using normal HTML, you need to use these curly braces to pass in something inside here. So we're passing like a parameter and we are trying to output that parameter here. So it's more like you're writing JavaScript inside here. I can just come here, instead of this props now, I can just say 4 plus 4. And this will work. So you see, we have 8. So you can actually do JavaScript within this. So, but for now, I'm passing the props, and that props is searching for an auto. So this is the way you pass props inside here. So it's more like they're saying, okay, wherever you have this guy, pass the value. So it's name value kind of thing. So wherever you find this auto, which corresponds with this, put this guy inside there. So this is the only component that has this. If I come here now and I say auto, equals to I can't spell your name, sorry. So I don't know if you want to be this guy's brother, but then it is what it is. And then I don't know why it's not automatically updating. Why do I have to refresh? So this is just it. So like I have this guy comes up. Okay. So this guy, you see that when we pass the props, it finds that component and then passes whatever it is. Now, supposing I want to change this description. Now, this is a very tricky one. I'll just say props dot description. So let's say I have a description here on another component. So let me just do that. Now, this is a very long one. How do I even do this? I'm going to have to change that in a bit though. Let me just do this the crude way. Okay. All right, so I have this. So you see, these ones they have this, but this is the only one that has a description because that is the prop that was passed. So that is the only thing this is the only thing that was passed on it. And if I refresh this for you to see, you see that we have a description and it's only for this component. The other one, this one has favor, this one has malloc, this one has this. So now how do we deal with things like this? This is very long and for you to now start passing it inside here, man, what a life. Okay, so alternatively, what we can do is we can just cut this out. I'm just going to create, so I'm just teaching you the crude way before we now go into, well, better ways of doing this. So I can just say, yeah, const description is equals to, I have my string and I put this guy. And why is it breaking? Okay. Person, does it want me to use a single line?
Can you change it to
Wow.
some template? Maybe it will work.
Yes, it has to be on the single line.
It has to be on the same line. Really.
What if you change it to template literal? Maybe it will work.
Yeah, that's the better way. Strings and their problems. So template literal works. So I can just change this. Okay. So I have this description. Will this work? So let's see. Yeah, it did not work. So because I am actually passing it from outside, I'm not passing it through this guy. Okay, I didn't pass it yet, sorry. That's why. So for me to pass it inside here, what I will do is I will just open a bracket like this and I will just do description. All right, so let's check. And we have our description here. So you can actually do it that way. I can do same for auto. I can do same for the image. So I can just say cons image img is equals to, I just do my template literals and I'm just getting the src and I am putting that inside here. Remove the G. Okay, and then I just have to do this and I will just call my imgs, but I need to put my props. All right. So from crude, What happened? Okay.
Call it down. You didn't call it down.
Eh?
Down. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't put it down. Yep. Okay. IMG is equals interesting. All right, hacky way of doing it. So, but now you now see it's only one that has it. It's only one that has that. So these are ways of doing this. These are ways of doing this. But then the problem with this method is that yeah, you now have to now keep specifying it on each. So we are still repeating ourselves. We are still repeating ourselves if we're using this type of system. So alternatively, so this thing that we are doing here too is also is we are repeating props. So instead of doing it this way, we can just do a const, if I can spell const. And then what do I need? I need an IMG, I need a description, I need an author, and I am going to equate, interesting, auth. Never reached that side. Okay, so author, and then we do props. So I don't need for all of this now. I just need to remove all of this. I need to remove the props thing. All right, so let's see. Does that work? All right, so it works for us. Yeah, you can pass props even as an object.
Just like the structure in a B organic.
Eh? Sorry?
The last line, like the structure in a B, the object.
Yeah, yes, you can do it this way. So if you don't do it this way, you can also do it taking this object, cutting it, placing this guy here. Okay, this should work. Cannot. Okay, I don't know where that is coming from. Okay, so this is what our page actually looks like. Very interesting. So it actually works, but then you see that well, we're not consistent enough. So what happens? We pass props here, we do not pass props on the other side, and it's a problem. So I didn't pass title too. So we can improve on this. Can improve on this. So first things first, because we want to be a bit consistent. How fast can I do that? So we want to be a bit consistent. I'm just going to create an object here, an array rather. So I'm just going to say const books equals to an array. Inside here, I'll just have an ID, let's say 1. I have a title. Because I'm not ready to start struggling with this thing. So let me just get the rabbit one. Okay. And okay, description. Okay, so for description, I'm just going to get this guy. Put here. Now do auto, right? Not the one in Berlin anyway. Okay. Oh, I didn't put image too. So auto, let me just get favor cone. Like this period. Okay. So, and then IMG. Okay, so just get this guy. Okay, so I'll just comment this. Normally I should even remove it, but let me just comment it. So we have books, and then we have this. So I'm just going to repeat this for a bit, then alter something. So shift alternate down. All right, so let's go back one. I'm just going to change the ID to. So let me just say rabbit watch or home. Okay, I have description. I'll just say Austin. This other one. Yeah, so in here, I'll just say maybe Harry Potter. I don't know I can't remember the author's name anyway. I'll just say Michael. Okay. And I'll just say Spider-Man. Say John Doe. Oh, this is a whole lot. Okay, carrot and stick. Okay, okay. Hmm. Is that someone's name? That's a funny name. Oh, oh, it's five. And I think the sixth one. Two, nine, failed. Oops. Ah, this. Okay, so I'm just going to use the guy's name. Christopher Columbus. Okay, so I have this array. Yeah, I have this array now, and I want to use it inside. I want to use it in my book. I want to use it to display my book here. So what I'll do is, okay, so let me just remove this redundant ones. I need only one. So I'm just going to do this. I want to write JavaScript inside it. So I'm just going to say books. You want to map. So remember your array method. And then what this does is well, this takes an item, or you can just say book, and then you do this. So you're returning a single book on it, right? So it's telling us missing a key property. So now, what this does is that this creates IMG is not defined, so on and so forth, so on and so forth. So let me just remove these guys. Okay. Okay. So we have this already showing up for us. And then we see that each child in a list should have a unique key. Have a unique key. Now, in dealing with this, now, when you're mapping, you remember map returns, well, an item, returns map returns something to you. So what is happening here is that it kind of, in case you want to do things like deleting stuff, updating stuff, so he wants to know which specific item it's working with. So it needs something called a key, which, remember that while creating this our array, we did this ID thing. So for some people, what they do is they just do this comma and then put an index, and then you just call the index inside here. This works to an extent, and if I reload this, it doesn't complain again. It doesn't complain again for us because, well, why not? Why not? So this doesn't complain because we've added that key property. So alternatively, what we could do is we could just say key, sorry, not key, rather, we could just say book dot ID, because this books is actually this array that we are doing here. So we are getting this array. So the number of items inside this, and that's what this is going to create. It's going to render this book, the number of times that this books, the length of this array is going to render that number of times. So what happens now is that, yeah, so we have the map, we're passing the book, and then we're getting the book ID. Fine, that is good. That is good. That is good. So the other thing now that we want to do is, now you want to pass in, uh, let's say you want to do book is equals to, yeah, book. Okay, so let's see, is this actually going to work? So this book, that means we're expecting a book here. We're expecting a book here, but if I save this, we're expecting a book. If I save this, it's not gonna work. It's not gonna work. Reason being that this is an object. So when it comes here now, it picks this object. So this is an object. And then let me close this back because this is long. So it comes here. I'm going to bring back this guy. The only way this will work, I'm going to bring this inside, and I'll just say cons, put back these guys, and I'll just say props, oops, dot book. Okay, so still pass my props here. The props. Okay, so you see, this is back. This is back. And then you see that we have favor, okun. I'm supposed to change all of this, remove the okuns. Many okuns. So if I check back, so I have this, I have everything I want. Oh. Okay, except the title. So inside here, I'm supposed to replace this title here. So you see, I'm passing this, I'm replacing it with title here. Oops, title is not defined. I do. Okay, get it. Title. Yeah. So interesting. So all of this works. Then we have this whole, we have the red line thingy. So, but then alternatively, if we don't want to do this, that means we have to do this. And then inside here now, it should work, right? I think. So reason being that this is an object. Passing an object, you're already destructuring it. Normally, if you don't destructure it, you would have done the props dot this, but you're destructuring it here. Then you're still doing this another level of destructuring inside here. So most often than not, this is what happens. So what most people do is that, yeah, when they destructure here now, they now go inside and now start doing a book.img, book.description, that kind of stuff. So it all depends on what you're comfortable with, what you want to do. So, so this is one way of, that is one way of, so you can pass book like this. Alternatively, let me see. There's something like this. Where you spread the book. This work. I've broken something. Okay. So I'm just going to move this back up here. And I'm going to comment this. Let's see. Does this work? It works. So crazy way of doing it. So this is another method of passing props. So you're spreading that item, flattening it, so that you're just getting this, just this here, and then you're able to apply it inside your component. I don't know if anybody confused? I've done plenty. Do we understand what I'm doing? Or do we have questions so far?
Sometimes I feel like I understand. Sometimes I feel like, what is going on? Really practice.
Yeah. To be frank, it's like that. To be frank, it's like that. So, but I think the way this thing works, the way learning actually works is you need to practice on your own. You need to try it out by yourself because that is the only point that's when you're certain that you get the gist of what is happening. I could be doing it here and it's looking all female and stuff, but you need to try it. Yeah, that's when to stick. So, but then we're having all this very funny squiggly line here and there. So actually, I didn't prepare for this one, but yeah, we're just going to do it. So there's something called prop type. So most times, I think this is just it's trying to understand what is happening. So it's trying to maybe make it like a strict. Okay, no problem. I can push that. I can push that on GitHub and drop it so that yeah, you have access to it. All right. So let's see. So I have this. So I believe we all understand the whole mapping thing here. So when you're dealing with map works with arrays. So you just need to understand that, yeah, I'm dealing with arrays. Then you do a map. So it's the same way, it's more like for each. So for each, so you're getting like a single item, so which is this book. So most often than not, this is the convention. So books, authors, author. So just so that your code is readable and people understand it. So I'm doing a books, I'm doing a map on the books array. So if I hover on this thing, you now see that, oh, we have a books. So see this thing here. Well, this is more like, this is kind of TypeScript kind of stuff. So it's more like you're saying you're having an array of objects that has an ID, a title, description, and all of that. So when you hover on the array, this in reference, this in, so our variable name, you should see something of this sort. Then when you come inside here, you now notice that yes, we have another thing here. So it's saying that this book is an object and it contains all of this. Then when you now go, we are not doing anything with this index. So you know that when you're doing I think a for each, yeah. So you have access to a single item, an index. You also have access to like what do they call it? The book array, the array itself. So if you can still go back and brush up on mapping and for each other systems, you can still go back and look it up. So you have like a book, so a single item first. So you want to get a single item. Then you also have access to the index as if you're going to use the index. Probably whatever you're getting from your backend does not work, does not have an ID or does not have something unique. For some people, they just use an index. Yeah, yes, the index can be used as, yeah, as your key. Though it is actually, for some places, there are times that it will scream for you, like, yeah, that this is not right. Your app will just complain about using an index. So there are some apps that are structured that way. That you cannot use an index. It's not right. So, but you can use it because, well, most times your index, they're usually unique. And then you're doing this. So normally I would have done, well, my normal parenthesis. So I do curly brackets and then close it down, but I am just returning straight away. So for you to do a return, you just use this circle kind of bracket and straight up you're returning this. So this is the component. Now the component, because you're mapping, it needs a key. So the key is taking something that is unique. So that's why we are passing book.id. So it checks a single book. For a single book, what is the ID of the single book? So it goes to the first book. So we have 6 books. Goes to the first one, sees the ID of 1, puts it here. Second one, ID of 2, puts it there, like so on until it's complete. Then again, we want to pass prompts. So I said there are 2 ways of doing this. Well, for some people, they could decide to do it one after the other, pass author, and then you now start doing book.author, pass the other one. And it's, that's a whole lot. That's a whole lot of things. So that means I have to come here and I now start passing each of them. So instead of doing it that way, you can do it a different way where you have like a book equals to book. So that book, so that means you're passing the book inside that book. So this here now is expecting a book object. So for you to use that book directly inside here like this, you would have destructured it to another level. So first of all, you destructure at this level to get the book. Secondly, you now destructure on the next level to get the individual item, and then you pass it inside here. So that's another way of doing it. And eventually everything shows up. So Favor, I don't know if you're clear on this because yeah, so you see that the names are different, the titles are different, the descriptions could also have been different. Even the images, it's just for me to change each of them. So let me just get another image while we're at it. Uh, okay. Copy image address. Just come here, place this. Okay. Let me just get another one. Image address. So yeah, so come back here. So you see, I have this. Funny enough, my images are of varying sizes. Why is that? Okay, so these are our experts in CSS. What do I do? Okay, so I'm just going to do book, then the img. So have a height of 200 pixels. If that's long, okay, solved. And extent, that's better. At least they are the same level. All right, so we have this. We have this like this. So, and then this works. This works for us. So we have unique things here and there. So what I just want to talk about is, yeah, we have all these squiggly lines, very interesting squiggly lines. And even though that was like, well, it's just because we're using Vite. And this guy is enforcing that we use things like this. So prop types is more like you're doing a type check. So it's more like it's trying to regulate what you're expecting. What are you expecting? What kind of data are you trying to pass into this into your component? So it can be anywhere. It can be inside your page, it could be inside your components. Okay, so for us to do this, I need to do like I need to import prop type. So please, my code is actually very dirty, and it's because we are playing around. Let your owner be this dirty. Import prop and this. So we're supposed to import prop type. Prop prop types. All right. So this now, and then for us to use this, I will just say a book dot prop types. Hope I'm actually getting it right. Book dot prop types is equals to, so you have like, what am I expecting? Let me see. IMG. Okay, so IMG is prop type. So we're expecting a string. Am I sure I'm getting that right? Import prop types. So this guy is out now. So in the same vein, I now need to do the same thing for description. So you just need to know what you're expecting. I think most of them are just strings, right? Then depending on however you want to do it, um, most of them are just strings. So auto, So it's just you defining whatever it is. If we had an object inside here, we'll do prop types dot object and so on and so forth. So just in case your app is still having like funny stuff, so you can just define your props. So we don't have those guys screaming at us anymore. I reload this. I think I can sleep in peace now. I don't know if we understand what I did now. Do we understand? You guys understand what I did? So, all right. Okay, Edwin. Yeah.
Sorry, when you were importing a prop type, network did something to me, so I don't see where you got it from. Can you just say it
Okay.
again?
Yeah, so I imported prop types from prop types. There's a React thingy. So import prop types from prop types. And then you now have to pick that component. So the book, so book, and then you do the prop types. So it's more like you're defining prop types for each of them. So for the image, which is what we are getting here, we're saying prop types the string, description, prop types the string. So if there is anyone, if we probably wanted to do it a different way, where we had to just do straight up pass the objects and pass the book object inside here, what we would have done is book prop types dot object. I think. Yeah. So object like this. So that's what it would have been. So it just depends on what you're expecting inside as props. So you just need to define the data type that you're expecting. So this kind of keeps it a bit strict. Where else am I having this funny problem from this index that we are not using? So with this, I don't know if you get if you understand what I mean. So for this image, we define what we're expecting. Based on this, yeah, we have this. We have description as string, author as string, all of them as strings. So that's why you can see them in this format. That's why you see them like this, and it works. I don't know if you're
Yes.
clear on that. Okay.
Yes, I understand. So now that you've defined prop types now, if you now put the wrong prop type, will the code still run?
Okay, so let's see. Well, okay, so you mean like defining it here. So let's say object. Okay, so let's see. Wow. It said failed prop type, invalid prop, img of string, supplied to book, expected an object. So it just throws the error for you.
Okay.
Just throws the error for you. So it's more like it will still run as JavaScript for you. Very, very loose and wayward. So it is what it is. If it were TypeScript too, it will, well, throw an error for you, all this kind of stuff. So another thing, let's see. When we have, I think there's something I've forgotten. When you're doing objects, when you're playing around with objects, you cannot do this. I think it will break. Yeah, so it says objects are not valid as React child. So it's more like, man, you're not supposed to pass this thing for an array of this thing. You need to map over it and so on to get each item inside it, and then you'll be able to do whatever you want to do. So what if we have like uh let's no let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I now pass nums. inside here. Interesting. So this guy works. This one works. And reason it works is because, well, this is a number. Even if it were a string, yeah, it will still show up. So, but when it comes to like when you're dealing with objects, array of objects, so an array of numbers, array of strings, you can actually pass it out like this. Fine, it will work. But the whole essence of uh having an array most often than not is so that you'll be able to look through it and display it how it's supposed to be. So if it's an array of objects, you need to map over each of them and then do it the way we did our own here. So that is how it is supposed to work. Okay, so what else? What else am I supposed to do here? So I'm just going to remove this guy. This one was just, yeah, we're just playing around. So you can't do that with an array of objects. So let's see. So we've talked about mapping, we've talked about components, we've talked about passing props, But then, this is actually not, how you're not supposed to do everything like on a single page like this. Sometimes there are exceptions where you can do that. Yeah, but you probably want to like separate things and use them that way. So let's see how we'll separate this thing into something that we can use. So in essence, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to create another folder here, and I will just call it components. Okay, so inside here, I'm just going to create book.jsx. So for the time being, I can forgive myself, RAFCE. I can just forgive myself for, I don't need this guy here. I'm just going to move stuff, moving what I have here, this inside my return. Moving it, I am putting it inside here. So it's expecting those things. So I'm just going to also move this guy. Okay, so I'm exporting book, doing that. What again do I need here? So I also need the prop types. Okay, so where should this be? Okay, so prop types is not defined, so I need to import. Interesting. There's a whole lot of, okay. All right, so I have this. So how do I use this inside my component? So I'm just going to comment this out, or should I delete it? Let me just comment it. So this is actually very rough, and I will just import. So imports, for you to use a component, you need to import. So I'll import what? Book from component. So dot slash. So once you start typing it, so book, so dot slash components slash book. If I save that, I come here, I still see my book showing up. So this is more like this is the way you're supposed to do that. Eventually, we'll talk about having pages here. Like when you want to, you can have pages, you can have layouts. Say, for instance, you want to have like a login screen for admin, a login screen for what do they call it? For users and all of that. So you talk about layouts. Um, what again? What again? So we'll talk about pages, we'll talk about layouts as time goes on. Then, so my books is here. My books are here. Then I have this. And then I think our app is, well, it's fair. It's good to go. It's good to go. I don't know if there's any other thing I'm missing out. So, but that is what it is. That is what it is. That's what it is. So let's say for instance, oh, okay. Then again, we can do, we can still do something. Let's say for instance, we want to do, let's say when you click on a particular book, they can have like an on click. So this on click. So there are different ways of doing this. So on click, see, console. Okay. So we're saying that when we click on the book, we should have the title come up here. So let's see. So you can have an on click where, so this is how you write on click here. It's different from your on click in your JavaScript. So this takes like a function, and then you can now put this and whatever you want here. So aside doing it this way, you can write out your function at the top here. So let's see. So let's say const handle click equals this. So if I am doing this, so this is one way of doing it. So if I wanted to do handle click, and okay. So instead of doing this, let me still put this guy. So then I pass title inside here. And then I have my title here. And I want to do CLG. I want to pass title here. So let's see how that works. So we still get it. We still get it because we're passing what? We're passing the title here, and then we're getting it here, and we're able to console log it. But what happens if I just call this directly? Let's see if that works. So that doesn't come out. That's so you see that does not come out, even though we are passing it this way. So Okay. Click the title. Okay. Well, in essence, for you to pass like that, it does this. Let me see. Okay, so I have the on click. Yeah. So, but if you want to pass something inside it, this in essence will not work. So it's the other way. The other way works. Is it crashing? E is not defined. Okay, so because of this. Right. So let me just clear this. Try again. So this doesn't work. So if you want to pass items, so you have an on click, you just need to do the whole, do this. All right. So this works. There's a use case for the other one, but it's not coming to mind at the moment. So this guy calls up whatever it is. So it takes that singular, the single name, and then brings it out. So that is what it is. But I think we'll stop there. I don't know if anybody has questions so far. Does anybody have questions? So, okay, in the absence of questions, sure. So you guys, I think at some point I kind of felt like maybe we should have had like this session first before you guys start doing the task and all of that. But then again, it was also a good exercise. Yeah, for those of us that are just writing React for the first time. So you explore and then you kind of found out things that work and things that do not work. Right? I know the kind of questions I answered the last time. Should I use the index of HTML to write the code and so on? There are funny questions like this. So, but it's nice. It's nice. Yeah, it's nice. So, but it's interesting. Interesting. So, are we saying that we don't have questions? We do not have questions. So everybody's clear. Everybody's good for this class. So I think, okay.
Sir, you have a
Yes.
question, right? The thing to do is please help us to upload the video on time so that some things will get clear when we practice. And again, this your code, please help us to push to GitHub as well to serve as a guide. So I'm ready to practice
Okay.
for those things online. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Barry, let me just do this. Yeah, Barry, you can ask your question.
All right. I have a quick question. It's regarding the prop types.
Okay.
Now, I really want to understand the purpose of these prop types because you actually brought it in. The code was actually working, but then we had some
Yes.
issues with our console, and then
Yeah.
you actually brought in the prop types. Now, I want to understand if you setting up the prop types is just to like create a strict rule for like more like a code guide or something. But I really want to know the essence of the prop types.
Yeah, it's just a type check. It's just you checking the types. Nothing more. Your code will still run. But it's just that you have like squiggly lines and then you know that, oh, that I have a mistake. Almost the same thing that TypeScript does. So it's like, it's just checking the type. If you say you're expecting an object here, then it should be an object. If you say you're expecting a string here, it should be a string, not a type of any, not a type of never. Like those are things. Those are data types actually. A type of any. So any type of data that comes in, I should just welcome it and all. So it just gives like a stricter kind of way of receiving data. That's just what the prop type does. I don't know if that clears
Yeah,
your
yeah, thank you.
yeah. So let me just do code. Okay. Very bad at naming, so just take it as it is. I'll just create this repository. It's public. All right. I just want to get this. I need to init again. Let me just do this. Oh, so I need to do git. So initialize, and then I do, okay. So before I push to main, I'll do git add. Wow. Okay. Let me see my git ignore. Okay. Hope it's not among the things that I'm pushing, but it's not. Okay. Okay, so the node models is not. So git add all. We just do git status. That should give me a very, very long distance. Okay, just to be certain. Okay, okay.
Yes, we should. Why are you
Yeah.
doing that? Please look at this. So among the things that should go in our Git ignore, I can see good model is going there definitely. What about this all this package dot package log this thing and package this thing? If we should go there, we see that our code will break online or what?
No,
Or any
it's
other
fine.
file. And this
Your
is it also am I
package.json.
supposed to
No, okay. So there are other files anyway. There are other files that you could say maybe you're not pushing them. So things like .env, where's that git ignore? So things like your .vs code, all these ones. Then if we are dealing with like, yeah, you need a key for the back end, those type of things, you need to put them in your .env because it's not something that you should share to other people. So uh so I don't as time goes on, Sha, you get to see some of those things but the most important one for now is that don't push node models. Yeah, when we start dealing with EMV and all of that, you also learn that. Okay.
okay.
This commit message is crazy, and I'm just doing that. So git push origin in. Okay, so we've done that, pushed that. Hopefully the video is uploaded on time so that yeah you can have the refresher and I think that's it. Be just certain. All right. Yeah, so that's good. That's good. All right. So yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming. So we'll meet on Wednesday. So we'll talk about, I think, use states, use effects, this type of stuff. And we'll get deeper into React. So nice to have you. So hope to see you same time, same station on Wednesday. Have a great day, and you guys should go and submit your task. Yeah. All right. Thank you so much. All right. Take care, guys.
You.
Yeah. Bye.
Thank you.